So, like we normally do on Thursdays and Fridays, we host two personalities to get into the newspapers and the various stories captured therein. So this morning, I've been joined by Palgrave Dankwa, government spokesperson on governance and security, and Professor Mahmud Sharif Khalid, who is an associate professor of accounting and finance. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you, and a very good morning to you.
Yeah.
Sweetie, it's good to be here.
Okay. We're going to have a good morning. I heard you say, let's have a good morning.
Yes, we're going to have a very good morning. Always.
Okay. So it's going to be a good morning.
With all the supposed good work they claim to have done, he's flying MPP colors.
Well, the new patriotic party
still need to advertise. Let your work speak for you.
No, absolutely. I think our work speaks for us. Excellently. Our work has always spoken
Prof,
for
I'll
us.
give you 2 minutes to get into whatever you want to get into, be it of national interest, social. What's on your mind this morning?
Well, on mine, I mean, you have the Daily Graphic again in its usual, I don't know who the editor of the Daily Graphic is, but it's quite concerned to always see this. I think we have Matthew Poku chosen. I think there are a lot of social issues. Growing up, I used to read a lot of social issues, pressing social issues on the front page of the Daily Graphic. But in the last couple of years, it's become a political tool.
But we are in the political season, and it's not just
really?
the Daily Graphic
But even
that's carried it as the banner story.
Of course.
I bet it's in your...
It's in the Ghanaian Times as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
no, but I'm just saying that it's the NPP has, been teasing Ghanaians for a while. So if a name has been put out, it makes sense that they want to...
Yeah, but I mean, to consume the entirety of the front page of the Daily Graphic, the Ghanaian Times, the key newspapers, so you could see an agenda of sponsored media presence within the week to give this some kind of... I think it's a bit worrying. More so when we are under very pernicious economic conditions, health issues, and a whole host of other issues that failed promises that we are existing under this current regime. So it's quite worrying for me.
And that's what's on your mind this morning.
It is indeed.
Palgrave Dankwa, your take.
On his or mine?
Oh, what's on your mind? It could be in reaction to his or...
Well, no, I think that Prof hasn't looked at the context of how print media does their front pages. Usually is the bigger issues that are ongoing. And if it's NDC picking up a running mate and John Dramani Mahama making a statement,
there's a difference between what the tabloid press does and what
let him get into this minute and then you can...
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
I reference the Daily Graphic for it, and I know why I'm doing that.
Prof is very hyper this morning.
I've just returned from the trailer from the Eastern region I was with, where we had a good day.
Oh my,
yeah.
Oh my.
It's going to be a good morning.
It has to be a very good
Are you done with your take?
No, I think my thoughts are very clearly that I've had a very good journey. I'm graduating with my doctorate on Saturday, my doctor in business leadership. I picked a subject on servant leadership, which for me has been one of my journeys. And I picked servant leadership and organizational citizenship behavior among public sector workers in Ghana. I did it at IPAG Business School in Paris, France, but coordinated with the Nobel International Business School.
Okay.
And so my thought this morning is really that the Ghanaian people continually deserve the best of leadership, sustained leadership over the long period of time. And I'm excited that Ghana is going to have such, especially in the candidature of Alhaji Dr. Mahmud Bawumia.
So let's get into it then. Since it's on the banner, it's banner headline on most of our newspapers this morning. This choice of a running mate, Napo, Dr. Matthew Poku, two thoughts or two questions that come to mind. Was the delay a strategy? Did the party know all this while that they were going to name Napo and just was waiting it out for what? And two, is this what you really need to break the 8? Do you think the bad press that this man has had over the past... In fact, we can only focus on this year alone. He's had some bad press. He is the energy minister. Do you think that this is what would help you break the 8? Palgrave.
Well, sweetie, let me greet you and greet your viewing public and to state that the excellent decision made by the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party in choosing none other than Dr. Matthew Poku, a medical doctor by profession, homegrown in Ghana, MP from Asia South. He's been in Parliament since 2009. During the SWAL NDC government, worked accidentally in a number of committees. I'm in no doubt in my mind that he's a strong competitor for the ailing Professor Nano Pokuajamain, and you also have to realize...
What did he just say?
He said ailing?
Ailing?
You also have to
No, sweetie, we can't carry on with these kind of comments. You've got to let him... You've got to let him... No. Let's be civil.
I'm being very civil.
Let's be civil.
I'm being very civil.
This show...
No.
Yes, of course.
Excuse me.
He's got to retract
so we can review stories, news stories, and not to denigrate or...
Not at all. Not at all.
For me, if he doesn't retract, I'll leave studio. I'm being honest.
You cannot call him.
You cannot call her. If you don't retract, I'll leave studio.
In the conduct of good unity and
if you don't retract, I'll leave the studio.
Don't worry, I retract the word ailing. But we're having a conversation. I'm wondering. He's been so hyper this morning.
No, it's not about being your choice. Come on, what do you mean by that?
Come on.
Pilgrim, you have to be embarrassed.
Try and actually get into the story.
You've just announced to Ghanaians you're earning a PhD, and you're coming with this kind of diction.
That is why
it's unfortunate.
I am stating very clearly. I'm emphasizing my candidature.
All right,
I'm emphasizing the fact that the Honorable Dr.
Let me give you both a minute to cool off. So we are actually getting into the papers. I was starting with the Daily Guide newspaper. On the front page, NPP praise, Baumia picks Napo, and Trade Minister introduces cement pricing law. That is what we're just getting into the first story. That is the choice of Napo. And my guests are a bit heated, so I'm giving them some time to cool off. Trade Minister introduces cement pricing law. We brought you that story this morning. E-Transform project connects 951 government agencies to internet. Parliament ratifies bauxite mining lease, and the Church of Jesus Christ Gamanche renovates school. And so the story is on page 3 of the Daily Guide newspaper. And for context, I'll just read a brief part of it. Barring any last-minute changes, it is more than certain that the governing New Patriotic Party would outdoor Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as its vice presidential candidate for 2024 general elections. It follows a series of wide consultations among key and influential people in not only the NPP, but across the length and breadth of the country by its presidential candidate and flag bearer, Dr. Mahmud Baumi. And we saw that leaked NIB report that projected Matthew Opoku Prempeh as the preferred choice of the party and the people. So that's the story we're getting into. Palgrave, I'll put a pin in your take. Let me go to Prof and then I'll come back to you.
It's interesting. Much as the grapevine had it that the Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh, I will not call him alien or label any names to him because we have respect for your viewers. Because we come to discuss these issues dispassionate of personal attacks on people's personality or personas. So, I mean, it's quite an interesting thing, but the lead up to it, as I would say, shows a level of indiscretion on the part of the flag bearer, and it also betrays the kind of resilience and potency he may probably have in terms of prudent decision making. Because the point is, we're in the month of July already, technically, because there's the last week of July, right?
Yeah.
June. When I say June, but we are getting into July, right? So how many months to elections? Except December, right? We won't count December because we're going to go.
5 months.
Yeah, we'll go to the polls on 5 months to elections, right? Look at the process that leads to a by-election in a constituency. He's a sitting MP. Right, we know it's a stronghold of the New Patriotic Party, but what is going to happen is that obviously he's got to vacate seat as a certain MP, and a process had to be triggered in Parliament, by which time that process even elapses. We're probably talking 2 months gone, right? So the people of Menchia, his own constituency, are going to have a certain disservice based on the decision of the party to delay this process. Now he's a minister again, an energy minister, a very critical sector, right? More so under crisis, right? And you
say the energy sector is under crisis?
Of course. Yeah, the energy ministry is under crisis and the sector is under crisis, right? You look at the doom so that he himself is not admitting, among other issues that are surrounding it. So what it means is that it's a very sensitive ministry and we are under a crisis situation. Now, it's going to take another process for the president to appoint a new energy minister who is going to go through vetting, who is going to be approved by Parliament, and who is going to be sworn in. And by which time all of this is done, what time would be left of this government?
All right.
So it just tells you that a lot of thinking has not gone through, except to say, we're just trying to, tag along, let's see what happens. that is the statement that they've both presented to us.
Okay.
The Patriotic Party.
Is that what's happening? Tag along and let's see where this goes.
Minded by the fact that a lot more thinking has gone into this decision, and minded as well that the stronghold of the New Patriotic Party has spoken, and we have listened to the delegates, and Alhaji Dr. Mahmud has chosen another person than the Honorable Dr. Machopoku Prempeh. What Professor is not seeing as well is that should the President even decide to pick a new minister for energy, there's always existing ministers. I'm certain that if the President decides at all that he wants to put a new minister there, it's going to be one of the ministers that have already been vetted. And so there's not going to be a need for Parliament to go through all those processes at all. But I'm just opposing in that extent. But it's an interesting journey to see that, yes, of course, the seat would be vacant, there's going to be a by-election, but all of these things are things that are done, and in a very short period of time, you realize that you have a new MP who is also going to win the election of the 2024 in December. For me, I look at the decision that has been made, I look at the character of the Honorable Machopoku Prempeh. This is the man that implemented President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's free senior high school that has chalked a lot of successes, and it will mind you to know, Sweetie, that from 1957 to the time we came into office, the number of people that have finished senior high school were 800,000 people. Today, as I speak, it's in the millions of people due to the credit of the man, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Dr. Machopoku Prempeh. And to state that the energy sector is not facing the crisis as is being purported at all. I don't see the evidence of any doomsday that is happening in this country. The energy situations have all been resolved.
Are you saying that
as I speak.
you've never experienced?
Oh, I have, in past. I have.
What when you say past, how far past are you talking about?
Oh, maybe 2-3 months ago.
Okay, and
yes.
it's fixed?
It's fixed. It's fixed. It's very much fixed.
Posterity will tell. Let's continue with my paper. So the Trade Minister, K.T. Hammond, has introduced a very controversial bill, or he attempted to lay it in Parliament yesterday, and the NDC MPs blocked it. He says that we must regulate cement prices, and those who breach that law or that directive could face up to 3 years in jail. And the NDC MPs say it first has to be discussed. But we know that cement prices have been increasing for some time now. It's been skyrocketing. Yeah. What's your take on this attempt by the Trade and Industry Minister, K.T. Hammond, to lay this in Parliament, and why the NDC MPs are blocking it? I mean, is it not in the interest of us Ghanaians?
No, but when
cement prices are regulated, cement manufacturers, I must add,
there are a lot of stuff that need regulation. I don't know why cement has been, the only selection point. But sometimes the Honorable K.T. Hammond sounds very, I don't know how to put it. He comes across as, because this has to have real consensus building. Right.
Let me just read a quote from him. He says, put something together. So we have a situation where in Bolga, a bag of cement sells the same as it sells in Accra. In Kumasi, it sells the same as it sells in Sifiri also. We'll discuss all these matters. And then, of course, let's also ensure that there's some kind of sense in it. It shouldn't be so arbitrary. I wouldn't allow a situation where you don't have an oligarchy, operating when there wasn't a monopoly. Yeah, so that's what he's saying. That's the sense behind this.
But that's just mumbo-jumbo of words. I don't know what the Honorable K.T. Hammond was trying to say, actually.
You get into your...
Yeah, so you look at all of this, and for a trade minister to say that he wants prices of cement, which is manufactured in Accra and Takoradi, right? These are probably the few plants we have around. And he wants the prices of in Bolga to be the same as... It's quite interesting coming from a trade minister. What modalities has he put in place to necessitate this? Why is the cement going to fly to Bolga? There are freight costs that come with all of these things. So if he has not made provisions for businesses to have incentives that would necessitate this, and you start to throw a legislation, right? Because you see, when you are legislating something, especially that has punitive measures, you need to have buy-in. Either than that, you exacerbate the very situation you are trying to cure, right? Where you still have people risking their lives to smuggle items into Burkina Faso and all of those things. So what has he, in the last couple of months, being trade minister, the incentives he has put in place to support this, has he actually created a fertile ground for possibly a cement manufacturing plant to be set up up north?
Is this not any good step at all?
Right? No, the good steps, not to regulate, but from the premise within which his words are coming from, talking about flat rate prices across the country. He, as trade minister, have to put incentive in place. You just don't throw a legislation because you think it's going to regulate it. No. First of all, you try to put incentives in place to promote, right, the acceptance and embrace and the ease to which people would not. Because why do we have laws in the country?
So you're saying this procedure is backward?
It's backward. Counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Reverse engineering.
The trade minister says that we should put measures in place so that one bag of cement is sold at the same price throughout the country. And that if these manufacturers flout the directive, they could face up to 3 years in jail. He was telling Evans Manson.
So, sweetie, my thinking really about this conversation is that I'm not sure we need an ally for regulation of cement prices. I don't think so. I think that what we need is a lot more broader conversation with the stakeholders that are involved, because there are raw materials that you bring in to put together your cement. And I would admonish that the Honorable Minister for Trade and Industry meets with the cement manufacturers and producers of it and have the broader conversation. I'm not too sure if we need an ally to regulate the prices of cement. I'm not sure we are there yet. And
okay.
I've not seen the details of the ally, but I don't think that is a route to go. It's a broader conversation to be able to look at what taxes you can review. It's a broader conversation to be able to look at the raw materials that you're bringing in. Then you can be able to juxtapose and say that because government has put in these measures to reduce taxes for the materials that you're bringing in, we are asking for you to have an equilibrium and equity across board. And,
that's leaning towards what the NDC MPs were saying, that there's a need or a call for more conversations and discussions before something like this is made.
Well, my thought is leaning towards what the interest of the Ghanaian people would be.
Okay, I get you. And then there's that thing happening in Kenya, the protest against the finance bill. And the protest, storming parliament, Ruto must go. And he's announced that he's actually going to retract that bill. Does it tell you about the power that we have as a people when we combine our voices and insist that government or our leaders who we put in place should do what we need for the for the good of our country? You know what? I was really excited yesterday following the story, the developments of the story.
Yeah, the point is, Kenya, or the voter cohort in Kenya, or for that matter, the middle class citizenry and upper classes are very sophisticated and thoroughbred people. I usually would say Kenya and Dakar and Senegal, right? They have this strong democratic resistance towards oppression, as you would see in what happened in Senegal or Dakar in the last couple of months leading up to the election of the new president that they gave us a young president. And you juxtapose that with Kenya. When Ruto started out, that was one of the ardent critics in how he started out, because he seemed to have been running the country with a PR firm, probably sitting in London or Belgium or somewhere else, where he was actually reading verbatim from speeches that pawns off to say, okay, well, I'm doing well within the international community, when a lot was not getting done at home. And the ripple effect of what has happened is what we saw just barely 24 hours ago.
About 22 lives.
Yeah, but you see, the interesting thing is, what I would say is that the difference between the Ruto government and the current MPP government is that at least he listened. He listened and then backed down quickly. We don't have that.
Did he listen, or they made him?
Well, they made him listen, right? But here in Ghana, when they say they are increasing prices, they are introducing a bill whatsoever, regardless of the number of noise you make, right? They are trying to sell off Senate properties, and we even tried to demonstrate and end at the Christ the King church. We couldn't get to the Christ the King church. So it tells you, but I just hope that it's going to be a lesson, not just for this current government, but for the good people of Ghana, that you have the power to resist oppression's rules. And we need to, as it may, amalgamate this force for positive action to really get the right things to be done. I mean, a raft of bills came in. They did so much to the extent that they even wanted to tax electricity, right? This is where we got to. Look at Momo. The Momo tax.
They have a similar bill. I was listening.
Yes, they have a similar bill. That's what I'm saying. They have a similar bill, but
the e-levy is everywhere.
Yeah, but
Nigeria, they tried to introduce that as well in Nigeria.
Yes.
And I don't know how to read up on
but the point is, the country is under siege. People are scared, and this government, one thing you can commend them for is that they are very good at intimidating people. Right? Even Palgrave tried doing that to me at the weekend.
Government spokesperson.
At the weekend, in studio at Channel 1, right? Yeah, he started,
intimidated you.
Yeah, yes.
I wouldn't have thought that anyone could intimidate.
Well, he tried. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He tried. So yes, there's a lot more to be done, and I think that Kenya is a good example. I think Kenya has always been a good example. Anytime it's close to election years, we see a lot happening there.
Yeah.
And I just hope that there's nothing to fear. This government cannot do anything to you, the good people of Ghana. You are the very people that can liberate yourself. So which is why you have John Dramani Mahama and Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as the clear liberators of the good people of Ghana.
Liberators.
Of course, obvious.
I'll take your quick thoughts on Kenya. I'll do one more story and then I'll come to you, gentlemen.
Well, so I think the incident that happened in Kenya is unfortunate. Kenya and Ghana are siblings. We have a lot of similarities. We have access to the country. We have diplomatic relations. Ruto visited our president this year on some bilateral conversations. It's very unfortunate with the issue that happened. I think we should be able to condemn it very rightly. I don't think that in this country people don't have the liberty and freedom to demonstrate. The NDC have had various demonstrations, civil society organizations have had various demonstrations. There is no fear that our government has put into people. We've not caused any fear into the normal citizens. People have their right to demonstrate. It's unfortunate what happened in Kenya. We must condemn it. The lives that have been lost is very unfortunate as well. We shouldn't see a day like this ever.
What are you condemning?
I'm condemning the demonstration.
Police brutality.
The demonstration. Well, yes, the demonstration.
The very demonstration that saw the president. They have the right to.
Yes, they have a civil right. Yes, but you see, I've always called for responsible demonstrators. I've always called for responsible demonstrators. 22 people are dead in Kenya. It's unfortunate. The president as well has asked that the bill be sent back to Parliament for them to look at it. And comparison as well in our case, Professor mentioned the Senate hotels. The president has asked Senate to look into it and give a response in the next 2 weeks. So our government is also a very listening government. Our government listens to what the Ghanaian people state. When people make requests for KPMG reports, the president releases the report. And so really, for a government that has set in an RTI bill into law, you cannot state that we do not practice the freedom that the Ghanaian people so desire. And I think that our president has been very accommodating. The president has practiced one of the best open democracy that the Ghanaian people have admired and looked to. And I don't think that the Ghanaian people ever want to be reminded of the days of the PNDC and the NDC era. But I'm glad that this democracy has come to stay. I'm glad that constitutionally we are going in accordance to what we must do. If you dislike any regime, I think that the opportunity is there for you to vote, which is why for me, I'm in no doubt in my mind that the more we stay in power, the better the Ghanaian people will have their livelihoods and the Ghanaian people will have an opportunity to be liberated within the various arsenals of this world.
Yesterday, this is not in the paper. Yesterday, I read that the finance minister was saying that, I mean, on the back of the end of this debt restructuring with the Eurobond holders and all that, finance minister, in fact, he has been talking up a storm about how the country is thriving and, you know, although the depreciation of the cedi is, you know, last year was better. No, we're doing better this year than last year. And so there's nothing wrong. We're not in financial crisis. And my question to you, Palgrave, you said that the longer this government stays in power, the more that you liberate us from the arsenals and blah, blah, blah. What do you think that we need liberation from as we speak? 2 questions. I'll bring a follow-up. What do you think Ghanaians need liberation from?
No, well, sweetie, I think that is the constant opportunities that government creates that enabling environment. And I've seen the policies that our government has put in place.
But your government has been in power for nearly 8 years.
Absolutely.
What do we need liberation
Which is why the government needs more.
Like
yeah, absolutely, yes. Which is why the government needs to stay more, because it is this government that has implemented one of the best social intervention programs. Name it, free SHS, one district, one factory, brought in ambulances when other people were sending letters of credit. I bought one tiny
tangerine for 7 Ghana cedis. I bought 3 pieces of tomatoes for 12 cedis yesterday, just yesterday. At a time, we're reporting that one was 5 cedis. Yesterday, I wanted to just make some eggs. I went to buy tomatoes, 12 cedis for 3.
And your breakfast was probably 100 cedi.
You're saying that we need liberation. And the longer the NPP government stays in power, the more they can liberate us. But you are in power.
But why are you borrowing my word without my permission?
Are you going to liberate us from the shackles that this very government has plunged us,
That's an admission of it. No, it's an admission of it.
I'm just looking for clarity.
Yeah.
He said liberation.
That's what I'm saying. He admits that we are under some shackles.
There's no shackles.
Which is the economic shackles.
There's no shackles that we are under.
Of the EMT-led Baumia.
No, well, he's aware. I mean, I'm not sure he doesn't want me to go into it. But this is the very first time in the history of Ghana from 2025 that we're going to have in the helm of affairs an economist.
But he has been head of the economic management team.
But the head of the economic management
are you serious?
Hold on.
The head of the economic management team is a subcommittee of cabinet.
And what would an economist bring to the table?
Well, a lot of things.
Right? What has been his achievement in the economic world that you think he brings to the table? Tell us.
He trained the economy of Zimbabwe when he was the head of the African Development Bank.
Are you serious?
So what about us?
Absolutely. You are aware. He
plunged it into crisis.
People used to buy.
Let's speak within the Ghanaian context.
Buy $1 trillion Zimbabwe dollars with bread. That's what people used to buy.
So what about the Ghana story?
Of course, which is the Ghana story. You are aware. Look at where we picked this economy from. It is this government that's recorded a single-digit inflation. I mean, all throughout.
And what is this reflection?
That now?
No.
And what is this reflection?
Inflation, 2017, 2018, 2018 consistently.
After inheriting what Mahama left and the programs he left, you benefited from it in your first.
Prof Palgrave, give me a second here.
Why I've said.
I'm not concerned about NDC and PP. Everything that you're touting right now about free SHS, economy, and Zimbabwe and all that, does it reflect in the pocket of ordinary people? Ordinary Ghanaians.
Sweetie, you said you went to the market to buy tomatoes.
Yes.
I don't know the time you go to the market, but I've been an advocate of proposing to Ghanaians to go to the market early.
Sure.
Yes, it's true. I like the way you said.
So under this crisis, you are now giving timings for people to go to the market. Since when has that become an economic strategy?
My point.
It's okay. You have just about 20 seconds.
Yes, in 20 seconds, when you go to the market at dawn, your prices are cheaper because the goods have just come in.
So government spokesperson
I've always stated that
security and governance
saying
that the solution to the hike in food prices is to go to the market at dawn.
This should make banner headlines.
That's on record.
Yeah, this should make banner headlines.
The solution to the hike in food prices we experience is to go to the market at dawn.
Go to the market.
Let's move on to other stories.
No, but Sweetie, I don't know why you're not fighting for your colleagues, right? Yeah. You know why? What time did you get to studio? This morning?
I get here at 5 a.m.
So between the market and the studio, which would you turn up to?
Well, you know what? My job is to give people information. They would decide what they do with that information.
But fight for your people as well. Fight for those who would turn up.
This is me fighting for the people. So on the back page of the Daily Guide newspaper, Black Stars have given us hope, according to Asamoah. Now, he's saying that the Black Stars have won 2 games in this World Cup qualifiers, and it means that the team, they are doing so much better. They haven't won any games in a while. So this is coming as a refreshing news to Ghanaians. That is according to Asamoah. How do you think the Black Stars are faring?
Football,
and then I'll come to you for your...
Football is one that would unite Professor and I.
Okay.
Because it's Ghana. But I think that the Black Stars are doing well.
Yeah.
I would like them,
especially in this tournament,
yes, in this
qualifiers that
very
we
much.
see.
I like to see them qualify for the World Cup. And... we would wish them the best.
Okay. Prof?
Well, I mean, football has been, I don't know what unity Palgrave is referring to that is going to unite us, but we'll try. But I think that our national team hasn't really excited us as a people in the last, because when the economy is bad, when there is doomsaw, and there are pernicious economic conditions, to borrow the words of the former finance minister, we all resort to football to sort of like soothe our experience. But here's the case: we are under a very hard economy, and football is not also performing. So I'm sure if we were to take a happiness test in Ghana, a lot of people will be very unhappy with the current situation. But I just hope that we could call on the national spirit to rally behind the national team, and so they can really invoke the lost glories that they have had in time past, so we can all push them forward. And I mean, let's put Ghana back on the international map.
We used to be a force to contend with in the football world.
Because I mean, I used to say, growing up, when our grannies went out to Mecca, where phones and stuff like that were not very common, and people were trying to know which country they were coming from, and they went like, oh, and they go like, I'm from Ghana. They go like, Abedi Pele? You know, so we're identified with real football. And can we go back to those glorious days?
I'll come to you now.
Thank you. The Ghanaian Times. NPP presidential running mate race. Napo gets nod as president accepts choice to partner VIP for 2024 general election. Gamanche Foundation, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, renovate Manche Takitewia, the first cluster of schools. I think that's good. And then Kenya violent process, 5 Ghanaian MPs caught up in the war. I spoke to the Deputy Minister for Information, the Honorable Sylvester Tete. He's arrived in Ghana, so I'm certain that his colleagues are also here. I think that, so the page 8 talks about Napo's gets nod. I'll just read a few things. The flag bearer of the ruling New Patriotic Party, the NPP, Alhaji Dr. Mahmud Bawumia, has settled on Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as his running mate for the upcoming presidential election, although Dr. Bawumia is yet to submit the name of his preferred choice to the National Executive Council for acceptance. Indications are that the President, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has given his blessing to the choice. A source within the Jubilee House told the Ghanaian Times, Dr. Bawumia, who is also the sitting vice president, announced his choice to the president during a meeting at the Jubilee House on Tuesday night. The source indicated that there was no hesitation on the side of the president in accepting the choice of the flag bearer, and it goes on and on and on and on. And then the demonstration and the Gamanche. I think this is excellent. Like I stated, for us as a party, we are very poised and very confident that in the 2 persons that we are presenting in this election, and you are aware, election is about ideas, it's about policies that you are churning out. When people are struggling to define and establish their ideas and what it is, we are very clear in our mind what we want to do. In the next chapter of Ghana, we've stated that Alhaji Dr. Mahmud Bawumia, the man who is proposing the digital Ghana, who set a foundation, compared to the other people that, like I said, Prof is always trying to intimidate me. You know, I don't know why.
I'll allow you to do one more story, and then we go.
Build
one more story in the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
One more story in the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Anointing oil did it for Napo, or what else? Because you've been holding anointing oil and kneeling around.
Don't ridicule the
exhibiting.
Don't ridicule the Christian faith.
I'm not doing it. Sorry, but Muslims use don't.
That's what I'm saying. Don't do that.
No. Muslims use anointing oil as well. But has he not been holding anointing oil?
I have not seen.
It's not about religion.
It's not about religion. I have not seen.
You've not seen a photo of him.
I have not seen a photo.
I'll show you a photo of him.
There's that story about protect us against land guards.
Okay, Brekusu. Okay, let me do that. Page 3 of the Ghanaian Times. It says that protects us against land guards at Brekusu Estate Company. The Comet Properties Limited, a real estate company at Brekusu. I'm reading.
Belgrave, I need to show you the photo with the anointing oil, so your viewers would agree that I'm not.
I'm reading.
Okay.
Your production needs that.
It's okay.
I told you, Prof is distracted me.
No, it's okay.
No, but you've admitted that you've seen it with anointing oil.
I haven't seen it. The Comet Properties Limited, a real estate company at Brekusu Eastern Region, has appealed to the National Security Minister and the Police Administration for urgent protection against land guards who are raiding the area. The management of the company alleged that individuals armed with sophisticated weapons and with bulldozers frequently trespass its properties, destroying buildings and farms, allegedly sent by Ni Odai Into family from Ashoman and Kwabenya in the Greater Accra region. So I think that it's in good order. I mean, if you are being troubled by land guards, the right place to go to is the police and the national security. So,
Prof Khalid, let's get into your paper now.
Well, my paper, I'm ignoring certain things and going for the social issues for now, at least. Bauxite Parliament rectifies Ghana Bauxite Company's mining lease. That's quite an interesting story because this made the rounds and became a political...
You need to let Ghanaians know what is on the front page.
I would do that.
But we talked about it. In the beginning, we already announced that
it amounts...
banner headlines for all the papers.
No, but it will amount to flogging a dead horse. We all knew this.
You see the word he has used.
Oh, no.
He used
I said it will amount to flogging a dead horse.
No, that's a
proverb.
Saying.
Well, you need a PhD in idiomatic expression.
No, we don't.
He hasn't actually been announced to the whole world yet that he is the running mate. It's just that the Vice President, Dr. Mahmud Bawumia, has presented his name to the President.
But it's on the front page.
And the National Executive Council will have to sit.
So let's read very important social subjects, right? Parliament has unanimously ratified the mining lease granted by the government of Ghana to the bauxite company in Awaso in the Bibiani municipal in the Western region. This was after a joint parliamentary committee of Mines and Energy and Lands and Forestry presented its reports to the House yesterday. The Ghana Bauxite Company, which has been in existence for over 80 years, is the only bauxite mining company in the country. The Awaso bauxite mine, it's an integral part of the government's policy to build an integrated aluminium industry in the country. The Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, which was established to promote the developed integrated aluminium industry in the country, has identified the mine as one of its 4 projects to build an integrated industry.
So the government, the government has signed a new mining lease.
Yes.
Through the Ministry of
Lands and Natural.
But interestingly, there's some aspect of it that I think we need to eliminate, which says that there's a sort of a sub to it, which is divestiture. The government therefore decided to divest its interest in the company. So it's not going to be a government affair here. In 1997, a Canadian company acquired 80% stake in the company, with the government holding only 20%. A British multinational, Rio Tinto, acquired the interest in the company before selling same to another group. In 2022, however, Ofori-Poku Company Limited, a wholly owned Ghanaian company, acquired 80% stake held. So that's quite interesting. So a wholly owned Ghanaian company is now holding the 80% stake. Well,
it's better than giving it to better than giving it to a British.
Well, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Giving it to a British.
It's not politics we're doing. We're just
but then, I mean, of course, I mean, you need to state.
All right. So again, 7.3 million Ghanaians.
We're on him now.
This is from the Ghana Statistical
And that's the last
Service.
story we do. We have to.
Okay, 7.3 million Ghanaians, multidimensionally poor. That's quite an interesting. It's quite a heavy.
That's the liberation we need.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Would you agree, Paul Grave?
That we need.
And I'm going to dig into that story.
7.3 Ghanaians are multidimensionally poor.
Multidimensional.
There was a report. You didn't see that?
I did. I read that.
They're multidimensionally poor, and the majority of that number is people who whose head of house or whose family head is in agriculture.
Household heads, yeah.
Household heads. So farmers.
But why is the government spokesperson on security and governance acting surprised at this?
He says he knows about it. I'm just giving him details of the report.
Okay, but you're expressing surprise from your face as though it's new.
I'm expressing the emphasis of the conversation.
But what do you think about that?
No, well, I think
7.3 million. What's the population of the country now?
Oh, maybe 32, 34, thereabouts. Yeah. Well,
it's 7.3 million.
No, you see, I think that Ghana is a developing country. Okay, definitely you have marginalized people, you have people that are below the belt who are poor, which is why they are alleviating poverty programs that the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has put in place, which is why there are social intervention programs to put pockets in the pockets of Ghanaian people. Look at the free SHS that we have brought. It's putting money in the hands of parents. People,
did you say free SHS is putting money in the hands of parents?
Of course. I mean, churches have even stated that now people don't come and ask for school fees anymore. Orphans who ordinarily orphans. It's quality.
Oh, it's about the
quality.
So
look,
why is this government? Why is this government?
Can I build it? Yes. Orphans who ordinarily would go through the junior high and finish senior high, junior high and stop and not go again. Today, most of the orphans are in senior high school.
And I think that's fantastic.
Extremely fantastic.
Nobody is saying free SHS is bad. Why are you objecting to a review of this policy? And as we speak, there's actually no policy framework on this free SHS program. The ranking member on education, Nochukutoi, was saying that he was on the AM show, was saying that there's no policy framework, and he's requested from it for so many times. They keep saying they'll send it to him. He hasn't received anything. So we are operating this program, this beautiful program that you say has onboarded millions of people. For which reason you say it's putting money in the hands of Ghanaians, but we don't have any policy documents that regulate, this government is saying they don't want to review it.
I doubt to think that there's no policy
document. Law?
Yes, I doubt to think that there's no policy document. I mean, I doubt to think.
Have you received any policy? Have you seen any policy?
No, let me build a point. I doubt to think that there is no policy document. Because you see, there is no way that will implement such a successful policy project from the government
Sweetie,
without a
education falls under the purview of national security. Education is national security.
No, come on.
Speaking for governance and security, and there's nothing within the confines of his office, then it's problematic.
But you cannot state
education is security.
No, but you cannot state that there's no policy. There's no way we would.
Is there a policy or not?
Of course, there's a policy.
Where's the policy?
Of course, there's a policy.
Point us to the policy.
There is no way. That's what I'm saying. There is no way. There is no way we. There's no way. There is no way we would implement such a policy. We've implemented this policy. It was in our manifesto. It was in our manifesto.
But that's not a policy.
That's what I'm saying. No, hold on. It was in our manifesto. We used it to campaign. We won the election. We picked it up from the manifesto into a government policy. And we have implemented it. We've implemented a very successful policy. If there's no policy framework, there's no way we could have implemented this.
The policy.
There's no way we could have implemented it.
Funding in and of itself became a problem. So really, you had to dip your hands into oil money. But then monies that were not meant for it.
Gentlemen,
you see, it is important.
I'll give you each a minute to wrap up.
No, let me read my story. He ate into it.
Okay.
Very important story.
We do have to.
Yeah, according to a government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobneinin, who are quite closely, he's a very good man. I'd say good morning, Prof. So he said 7.3 million Ghanaians multidimensionally poor. Right. So it says nearly 1 out of every 4 Ghanaians are multidimensionally poor, facing deprivation in health, right, education. They're talking about free SHS, but this is what the government statistician and the Ghana Statistical Service is saying. Education, employment, and living conditions are considered poor. Right? A report released by the Ghana Statistical Service. This is not a report released by the NDC. This is a report released by the independent Ghana Statistical Service saying this. This means that 24.3% of Ghanaians are multidimensionally poor. Employment dimensions contributes the most, right? So even under Napo and all of these things, the Statistical Service is still saying this is what it is. This is not me saying, this is not the NDC saying. Poverty at 32.6%, followed by living conditions and education 17.8% dimensions, and the free SHS, supposedly. But we have this, and this is coming again from the Ghana Statistical. I mean, so what it tells you is that if you go on the trajectory of sloganeering, right, 1D, 1F, free SHS, without concrete policies built to anchor these slogans and converting them into policies, the Statistical Service report would expose you. And that's what has just happened. So all of what monies have been spent into, look at NAPCO and how much money we poured into it. Where are they now? We literally just shut it now.
Okay. Palgrave, how do you respond to this? And then we can wrap up.
You know, sweetie, NAPCO was a very good intervention from government. Young people stayed home without skills. Government put in an intervention. SOL governments never thought of that. So I can admit very much so that NAPCO has been a blessing to the Ghanaian people. I can also admit the challenges that they are in. I know that there are some allowances that are yet to be paid, and all of that is going to be paid. So really, I mean, if the government statistician does his work, which is good for policy review and policy conversations and all of those other things, I think it's fair for us to know what is happening in the country, and then we'll use that to advise policy. But we can't capitalize on that.
Sweetie, when we're talking about employment.
You see, throughout our conversation this morning, I realized that this is the first time we've admitted that there are some challenges.
Oh, I admitted.
When I asked about if this choosing Napo was a strategy, the delay in announcing him was a strategy, we went round. You never really answered that question. Again, on free SHS, I asked why you were so, why you are refusing to review the policy. You haven't answered that yet. You say that there's a policy document. And I want to go back, and because I want to use your words, I do not want to misquote you. You said that the longer this government stays in power, the more or the better they can liberate us from whatever we need liberation from. In giving me your, a wrap of your thoughts this morning, I want you to touch on all these key things that we actually need clarity on. Also because you're government spokesperson on government and security.
Sweetie, you don't have a problem. I have stated that if the government of Ghana and the government of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo does not have a policy framework for free senior high school, there's no way we would have implemented it to the much admiration of the Ghanaian people and the continent of Africa. That's one. Number two,
admiration.
Where are you inferring this from?
Are you co-hosting?
No, I'm just asking a question.
No, but you're distracting.
Let me do the probing for you. So, what are you inferring this admiration from?
No, but then it's the success of the policy implementation. It's the results and the output of that.
So is that why you're refusing to review it?
No, I don't think that the government is refusing to review it. Okay. Not at all. I don't think that has come up for a conversation. Because every single...
It's not come up for a conversation?
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think that it has come up for a conversation not to review it.
Okay.
Okay? Yes. I mean, because every single policy... Absolutely. Every single policy that you have in government obviously goes through the various trajectory of reviews.
So why the rush to turn it into a law when there's already a law that encourages progressively free senior high school education?
I think that is the moral decision, really, that the legislative arm of government represents everybody in this country. And so we want the legislative arm of government to take that oath and put it into law and state that for the rest of the Ghanaian history of life, we would ensure that the lowest level that every single Ghanaian will have is a senior high school certification. I don't think that is wrong at all. It's up to Parliament to decide or not.
All right. Our time is up. Prof Khalid, you have a minute to wrap your thoughts.
Well, I mean...
do that without...
He talked about NAPCO interventions and all of that. But the point is, when you look at the labor market and you look at human behavioral issues within labor market, right? When you bring someone into a job that has no security, pays a said person a bit of money, right? And let the person go without that salary that was trickling in, now the person becomes unemployed and the person has no choices, right? Studies show that it increases social vices more than ever before, right? So if you think that you've really done something by introducing NAPCO and shutting it, if it was a good program, why didn't you continue with it?
That's it?
Yeah, so let's go for sustainable interventions and not slogans.
Okay. Before we go, though, I want to announce a special invitation. The Vice-Chancellor has the pleasure of inviting you to the inaugural lecture by Professor Daniel Frimpo-Ofori, and on the topic of Indomie, Calipo, and condoms, an intimate conversation about corporate social responsibility in Ghana. And this is happening at the University of Ghana on 27th of June, that is today, Thursday, at the Great Hall of the University of Ghana at 5 p.m. And so the Vice-Chancellor is inviting all who are interested, that's it on your screens, to join them for that conversation. It's an interesting topic of Indomie, Calipo, and condoms, an intimate conversation about corporate social responsibility. I think that if I find the time, I want to go and listen to what they're saying. But there are some messages here. Happy birthday to Mrs. Abigail Ekua Yankson. May the good Lord bless you. May He give you long life with good health and prosperity. May He grant you your heart's desire. Once again, happy birthday from your one and only husband, Mr. Richard Kofi Ewa. Richard is a cameraman here at Multimedia. That's a lovely message going out to your wife this morning. And so that's how we're wrapping up for this morning's News Review segment, proudly brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. And they're offering free prostate screening and free fertility screening at their various branches here in Accra. You can find them on Springtex Road and so many other points. My name is Sweetie Aboshi, and my guest this morning was Paul Grave Boache Dankwa, government spokesperson on governance and security, and Professor Khalid Mahmud Sharif, associate professor of accounting and finance.
Paul Grave holds the most sexy title in government.
No, he's brought me to explain the 24-hour.
Oh, look at you.
All right, thank you for watching. We will
I quite like it. It's a big role,
coming up
isn't
next
it?
is sports. Stick and stay. Gentlemen.